Kahani 2. Jammy Dodgers for Jell-O. Some days you're paid to fix anomalies. Other days you're bribing a hoarder slime with biscuits while its pet eyeball judges your life choices. Less sticky? You'd think so, wouldn't you? But this job's just a different flavour of bizarre every week. It's not always industrial grime and mechanical crab things in the dark. Sometimes it's posh. Proper posh. I'm talking Sector Gamma 9, where the air smells like money and the residents have flats bigger than my entire home sector. And honestly, I'm not sure which is worse. At least the crab thing wasn't condescending. Had one of these routine calls come through last Tuesday. Standard procedure, you know? Just get in, assess the situation, contain whatever's causing the problem, file the paperwork. Simple. Ha! Never is it? I swear, I haven't had a genuinely routine call since I started this job. So, anyway, dispatch pings me at stupid o'clock, and I'm half asleep trying to make sense of the notification while my coffee's still brewing. Minor anomalous entity disturbance, they said. Non-aggressive domestic displacement, they said. All in this lovely, sanitized corporate jargon that tells you absolutely nothing useful up front. Location was one of those posh, high-rise habitation blocks in Sector Gamma 9. You know the type. All gleaming surfaces and ambient lighting. Places where the monthly rent costs more than my chapel. And apparently, something was mucking about in their vents. The official tag was Spectral Adjacent Domestic System Integration Anomaly. Spectral adjacent usually pointed to something like a glimmerglop or an energy-based critter. Domestic System Integration Anomaly meant it was in the vents and not paying rent, probably causing a fuss. The resident was also reporting missing items, which usually pointed to a bioworker with sticky tendrils or a serious hoarding problem. So, a glimmerglob with a hoarding problem, most likely. Great. My scanner flashed up a File Access Restricted, Level 7 clearance required when I tried to pull its full ICS bio profile. Just like with that crab thing in Sector 4. Someone really didn't want us knowing the full story on these anomalies. So I hopped the early tube, full of blank-faced office workers clutching their synthetic coffees like lifelines, and arrive at this towering monument to the obscenely wealthy. The building AI greets me with this smarmy, over-polite voice. Welcome, Specialist Holloway. You are precisely 3 minutes and 42 seconds later than your projected arrival. Your tardiness has been noted. Charming, right? I swear, these premium-grade AIs are programmed with extra helpings of condescension. Anyway, I'm escorted up to the residence in question by a custodial drone that keeps a solid meter away from me at all times, like my standard-issue uniform might somehow contaminate its pristine shell. We arrive at this door. Maple wood. Actual earth maple, not the vat-grown stuff. And the drone announces, Specialist arrival, authorization pending. The door slides open, revealing what has to be the most tastefully bland flat I've ever seen. And that's when I hear it for the first time. This warbling. Not quite mechanical, not quite organic. Sort of squishy sounding? Hard to describe. Like someone playing a kazoo underwater while stomping in pudding. Honestly, it was giving my elder brother Ravi's disastrous attempt at learning the tabla a run for its money. Pure pagalpan. The drone hovers at the threshold. The anomaly is located in Environmental Control Junction 7C. The resident has reported missing items. Incident classification is non-urgent, non-threatening. Then it zooms off, clearly glad to be done with escort duty. I follow the sound down a hallway lined with what I'm pretty sure are genuine abstract paintings, not hollow projections, to a small utility alcove. There's a vent cover leaning against the wall, and the warbling is definitely coming from inside the open shaft. I set down my containment kit, snap on my scanner, and aim my helmet torch into the vent. And that's when I get my first look at what the residents of Sector Gamma 9 consider a minor anomaly. It's a glimmerglop. Unit 734, according to my scanner. Big glob of semi-transparent, pulsating stuff. About the size of a standard cushion, but shimmery, iridescent, and definitely not where it should be. Scanner flashed an error. Bio Unit 734, origin restricted. Bloody hell, what was this thing? Looked like some bioengineering malfunction had caused it to start hoarding non-organic items. These things are supposed to be cleaning industrial-sized air filtration systems out on the orbital platforms, not setting up shop in luxury flats. But that's not the weird part. The weird part is what's inside it. Glimmerglops are basically organic cleaning agents. They consume dust, debris, microparticulates. This one? It's full of stuff. Shiny stuff. I can see what looks like cutlery. Proper metal cutlery, not the decomposable stuff. And what might be jewellery. Something that looks suspiciously like a credit chip. And right in the middle, staring at me with absolute judgment, an eyeball. For a split second, I thought I saw a faint shimmer around it, like heat haze, but dismissed it as scanner noise or my own tired eyes. Not a real one, thank the stars, a prosthetic. High-end by the look of it, with that distinctive blue iris that shifts subtly with the light. And as I'm staring at this completely bizarre sight, the glimmerglop starts singing. That warbling noise, but with more intent. Like it knows I'm there and it's either trying to communicate or warn me off. All this hoarding. What is this, some kind of cosmic yaksha hiding its loot in the vents? Next it'll demand a toll. I key my comms. Dispatch, this is Holloway. I've got a glimmerglop, Unit 734, outside its designated work zone. It appears to have hoarded several items of value, including what looks like an ocular prosthetic. Requesting protocol clarification. There's a pause, then dispatch crackles back. Confirmed, Specialist. Implementing unscheduled bioworker retrieval protocol. Initiate coaxing sequence alpha. Coaxing sequence alpha. Right, because that always works. For those uninitiated in the fine art of glimmerglop management, coaxing involves offering them a nutrient pellet, Class 2, in exchange for whatever non-approved items they've absorbed. Simple trade. Usually works fine with the standard units, which aren't supposed to have any interest in anything beyond dirt and dust. But Unit 734 here? This one's developed. Tastes. I fish a pellet out of my kit, hold it up where the glimmerglop can sense it. Hey there, fella. Look what I've got. Lovely nutrient pellet, packed with all the minerals a growing gloop could want. Much better than silverware and eyeballs. How about a trade, eh? The warbling stops. The glimmerglop pulses once, twice. Then it does something I've never seen one do before. It sort of compresses, pulling all its shiny treasures deeper into its centre. And the eyeball, that creepy prosthetic, seems to rotate slightly, focusing on me. Okay, I mumble. That's definitely not in the manual. I try again, wafting the pellet closer. Come on, it's delicious. All your glimmerglop mates are well jealous. Limited edition, artisanal even. Nothing, just more pulsing. And is it my imagination, or is the warbling starting to sound annoyed? You're fussier than Mum at a takeaway counter, I grumbled under my breath. Time for plan B then. The resonator. Standard kit for encouraging reluctant bioforms to move along by disrupting their biocellular bonds. Looks a bit retro, all knobs and wiggly aerials. Makes your fillings hum if you turn it up too high. So I pointed at the blob, which the client later called Cedric, I kid you not, and flicked the switch. Brilliant. I've effectively weaponized a kazoo against a gooey art critic, and it's about as effective as arguing with Barry about optimal atmospheric humidity. The warbling gets louder, and all the shiny bits inside the blob start jiggling about. Proper chaos in there. Spoons banging against data chips, jewellery rattling, and that prosthetic eyeball just sort of bobbing ominously. Gave me the willies, that eye did. Just then, wouldn't you know it, the client herself appears. Mrs. Fitzwilliam, or something equally posh-sounding. Hair perfect, silk robe, the works. She peers past me at the pulsating, singing monstrosity in her ventilation system. "Oh, hello, dear," she says, calm as you like. "Is Cedric being a bother? He does get frightfully attached to his little trinkets, especially Bartholomew." Cedric? Bartholomew? She'd named them. The blob and the bleeding eyeball. Ah, of course it's got a posh name. Next it'll demand Earl Grey with its biscuits and start quoting Shakespeare. I was gobsmacked. Stood there like a lemon, resonator buzzing in my hand, goo blob crooning its awful tune, fake eye judging my very soul, and Mrs. Fitzwilliam asking if Cedric was being a bother. It was surreal. Properly surreal, like something out of a dodgy late-night space sitcom. Yes, madam, I stammered out, trying to keep my voice steady. Cedric seems a bit reluctant to vacate the premises. We're just persuading him. Ah, she says, nodding slowly. Yes, he can be quite willful. Did you try offering him a jammy dodger? He's quite fond of those. A jammy dodger. She wanted me to offer the alien goo blob a biscuit. Jammy dodgers? For an alien goo blob? Mum would probably approve. Biscuits over barfy for interdimensional maintenance issues, who knew? I blink at her. A jammy dodger, ma'am? Oh yes, she says, like we're discussing a fussy toddler. Not the replicated ones, mind you. Has to be genuine. I've got a tin from Earth in the kitchen, specially imported. Cost a small fortune, but Cedric does so enjoy them. I'm standing there completely thrown when she leans closer to the vent and actually coos at the blob. Don't you, darling? You're just a bit peckish, aren't you? And I swear, the warbling changes tone. Gets almost cheerful. The glimmerglop pulses faster, and one of the spoons inside it starts tapping against what looks like a gold bracelet. Like it's excited? Mrs. Fitzwilliam straightens up, adjusts her silk robe. I'll fetch the biscuit, shall I? Won't be a tick. She swans off, leaving me alone with Cedric and his collection. I've got my resonator still humming away, completely ineffectively, and I'm wondering what bizarre parallel universe I've stumbled into where posh ladies feed expensive earth biscuits to maintenance gloop that's stolen their prosthetic eyewear. Specialist Holloway, dispatch crackles in my ear. Status update required. What do I even say? The target has a name and a biscuit preference? Instead, I key the comms and say, coaxing alpha unsuccessful. Resident is attempting alternative methods. Stand by. I hear footsteps returning, and Mrs. Fitzwilliam reappears with an ornate tin. She opens it with a flourish, revealing actual, honest-to-goodness, jammy dodgers. The real article. The scent of sweet janny goodness fills the alcove. Felt a weird pang. Last time I'd nicked a jammy dodger was from Mum's secret Diwali stash, back when I was 12 and the weirdest thing in my life was trying to avoid Auntie Gita's cheek pinching. Simpler days. Here we are, Cedric dear. Your favourite. She holds one out toward the vent. The warbling reaches fever pitch. The glimmer glop pulsates so fast it's almost vibrating. And then a thin tendril of translucent goop extends from the mass, reaching for the biscuit. I should have stopped her. Protocol says no feeding unauthorized substances to bioworkers. But honestly, I was too fascinated by whatever bizarre relationship had developed here. The tendril touches the biscuit, and it's like watching a straw suck up the last bit of milkshake. The jammy dodger just disappears, absorbed into the gloop. The warbling modulates into something almost like a pleased sigh, and then Bartholomew the eyeball starts to move. Seriously. It rotates, then begins to drift toward the edge of the glimmerglop, followed by a spoon, then another. One by one, some of the shiny trinkets start migrating slowly toward the surface. There we are, says Mrs. Fitzwilliam, looking smug. I told you. He's just a bit protective of his treasures, unless you offer a fair trade. I'm still staring, slack-jawed, as Cedric warbles, still defiantly clutching what looked like a very expensive earring, while Bartholomew the eyeball bobs tantalizingly just out of reach of any goopy tendril. Mrs. Fitzwilliam was cooing, but the ambassador was due for tea in 3 hours, and this performance was dragging on. Right, that was it. Professionalism could take a hike. Procedures? Out the airlock. This whole situation had gone completely pear-shaped. Thinking, right, you asked for it, Cedric. Some of us have deadlines. I grabbed the dial on the resonator, the one marked "Caution, may cause existential discomfort in lower life forms," and I gave it a proper twist. Maybe a bit more than strictly necessary. My teeth felt like they were going to vibrate right out of my head. There was this screech from the resonator. Warping hit a note that I'm fairly sure is illegal in several star systems. The lights in the flat flickered violently. And then, imagine a giant, overfilled water balloon, filled not with water, but with lukewarm jelly, glitter, bits of metal, questionable biology, and that persistent smell of burnt sugar and fake bananas. Now imagine it exploding. Violently. Yeah, that goo. Everywhere. On the ridiculously expensive cream carpets. All over the antique vase that probably cost more than my transport shuttle. Splattered across Mrs. Fitzwilliam's silk robe. And absolutely coating me. Head to toe. I felt a distinct splat right on top of my head. Pretty sure it was Bartholomew having one last look around. Didn't check. Didn't want to know. This is my life, I thought, goo dripping from my eyelashes. Slimed by a blob while Mum's probably planning my shaddy with some Leicester lad. Cosmic joke, innit? Silence. Blessed silence, apart from a faint drip, 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 as goo slid down the walls. Mrs. Fitzwilliam blinked. Once. Twice. She delicately picked a bit of something purple and shimmery off her shoulder. Oh dear, she murmured, sounding mildly put out. How untidy. And Bartholomew seems to have done a runner again. Untidy, that's one word for it. Catastrophic biospill, requiring hazmat team and a gargantuan dry cleaning bill. Might have been closer to the mark. I just stood there, dripping with Cedric's remains, wondering how exactly I was going to explain this in my incident report. Target entity refused standard nutrient exchange. Resident attempted unauthorized biscuit-based negotiation. Resonator deployed, leading to catastrophic containment failure? Yeah, that'll go down well. Mrs. Fitzwilliam, to her credit, didn't scream or faint or demand my immediate termination. She just sighed, like this was a minor inconvenience on par with finding a stain on a favourite shirt. Well, I suppose we'll need to clean this up before the ambassador arrives for tea. She glanced at her wristcom. That gives us about 3 hours. 3 hours? To clean up this devastation? I just stared at her. I'll call for the deep cleaning service, she said, remarkably composed. And perhaps you could start looking for Bartholomew. He's rather expensive, and I do have that gala tomorrow. I was still processing this request when my own comm chimed. Dispatch, no doubt wondering why my bio-readings had just spiked and the ambient humidity in the room had suddenly increased by about 600%. Dispatch? I managed, wiping goo from my face. We have a situation. Containment unsuccessful. Target entity has... well, it's everywhere. Requesting decon team and possibly a specialized retrieval unit for a missing prosthetic ocular device. There was a long pause before dispatch responded. Understood, Specialist. Decon team en route. Please implement Biospill Protocol 7 and complete Containment Failure Report Form GX11/Beta. Of course, more paperwork. Because what this situation really needed was a detailed form filled out, with hands still sticky with